What is up, YouTube? It is Andrew here from the Heroic Play, and we have another video for you today. I got a battle report in the works for y'all, but today we are talking about something that might be really important to new players, and that is dice. Understanding probability and statistics when it comes to Warmachine. So this video is going to be really helpful for new players. And the reason being is it can help you play a lot faster, and it can also help you build your lists more easily because it really kind of fleshes your expectations when, okay, I'm rolling 2 dice, for example. What is that going to look like? And so, oddly enough, I got this wisdom back in Mark II. When I was playing in a local steamroller, the press ganger at the time actually offered me this wisdom because he saw that I was struggling with, like, should I boost this hit? Should I boost this on their armor? Like, should I not? Should I just buy more attacks? Like, what are my odds? And so the press ganger actually told me what the odds were. So I wanted to share that wisdom with you today. Well, let's talk about that. What is the expected total outcome or the most common results when rolling dice? So when rolling 2 dice, the most common total outcome is actually a 7 because there is more combinations that create a 7 than any other number on 2 dice, well, a 6-sided dice. And basically you might be asking, okay, well, what does that translate to? Okay, if I know I'm going to roll a 7 on 2 dice most of the time, what does that actually mean in the game of Warmachine? So let's say we're looking at these Dreadguard Slayers that are mat 7. So if I'm mat 7 and I'm expecting to roll a 7 or higher, like, what, I'm gonna hit def 14 all the time? Well, that's great. So I can hit most like super high defense warriors here. Look, Rangers are 14, Assassins are 14, even like Blade Guards, Blade Masters are def 13. So I'm going to hit them way more often. I'm going to hit def 12 almost all the time. So that's kind of how you can build. Hey, with mat 7, that's pretty elite, especially in the 2026 meta. Even more so, though, you're like, okay, well, I'm mat 7. I'm not going to be hitting def 15 on a Warcaster that often because now I need 8s on the dice. So my probability goes way lower because I should expect a 7 on the dice, unless I'm really throwing out Hail Marys here. But it's just kind of how you tailor your expectations. Because now, hey, wait, what if I boost that attack roll? Or what if I find a way to, like, mat fix or something? So let's say we had the Dreadguard Slayers right here, and there was some way that we can get to 3 dice. What is my expected outcome on 3 dice? Well, that is actually an 11. So let's see here. I have a 9 plus, oh yeah, actually 9 plus 2, oddly enough, is 11. So if I'm mat 7 plus 11, I'm actually hitting like def 18. So you see how drastically that can change the difference between not hitting like most of the time to almost hitting all the time, which is kind of crazy. And even more so, what if I add a 4th dice, which is very, very rare when it comes to hitting, but when you're doing damage, let's say you're Weapon Master on a charge, what is the damage? Oh, actually, I can't look up a Weapon Master unit here. So Last Watch has Weapon Master, right? So let's say my POW is 10, chucking 4 dice on the charge. What does that look like? It's actually 14 or higher is what you should expect on the dice. Now, of course, it could be lower, but most of the time you're going to be getting 14 or higher. This is where you build your expectations. So you'll be doing 24 damage, which if Jack has, let's say, 19 armor, which is pretty standard nowadays. It's pretty hard to find something with, if it's armor 18, that's pretty low. But let's say you build your expectations around armor 20, armor 19. So you're going to be doing about 5 to 4 damage a swing on a charge with the Last Watch. Now, when I mean, like, hey, you should expect to roll a 7 or higher on 2 dice, what do you think is the percentage of that when I say that? It's 58.33%. So literally better than a coin flip. That's how like often you should expect a 7 or higher on 2 dice. Now, the other like 41.7 or 67% means you're going to roll lower. But at least you know that you're doing better than a coin flip when you're expecting a 7 on 2 dice. Now, when I was talking about an 11, so let's go ahead and pop out. Oh, oops. When we were talking about 11 on 3 dice, what do you think the chances of that are? It is a straight 50% chance to roll an 11 or higher on 3 dice. So literally a coin flip, a 50-50 odds. So that's kind of how you can build your expectations on, hey, I'm at 5 and but I'm able to boost. Let's say I'm a mat 5 warjack, but I can boost. I want to hit a def 15 warcaster. I hit that like more than 50% of the time, because 5 plus 11 is 16. I'm hitting that more than 50% of the time. Now, what if the rare case, let's say I'm rolling 4 dice. What do you think the chances are to get 14 on 4 dice? It's 55.63%. So literally, again, better than a coin flip. So that's how you can kind of build your expectations around dice when it comes to the game. And also how important it is when you can change your mat by like spells such as Carnage, or if you have Chiller on, let's see here. Yeah, Chiller. So -2 defense, just flat out, can be a huge difference when you're expecting to hit, let's say, instead of def 15, now you're hitting def 13. So if you're expecting a 7, you can hit that easily, oddly enough, on mat 6 or 7. The 6 plus 7 is 13, 7 plus 7 is 14. So you're hitting that on more often than a regular coin flip. Crazy. So that's why mat fixing is so kind of important, especially in this meta. So just having some way to affect it can be a big, big deal. Anyway, now we're going to get into another thing that happens in this game, which is critical effects, critical knockdown, for example, or on the Dreadguard Slayers, critical decapitation. Now, a critical in Warmachine, as you know, is when you have 2 of the same face value on a dice, and you also have to hit. So you have to think, okay, well, if we're just guaranteeing that I'm going to hit, what are the chances of me rolling doubles on 2 dice? Well, this is where it gets a little grim. So it's a 16.7% chance, so not very often. So you can imagine you're not going to be hitting that crit decap on Dreadguard Slayers very often, unfortunately. And they only get 1 attack each. So even to have them crit in a game is going to be rare. So don't really expect it to happen, unfortunately. However, where this does start to matter is, let's say you have Israfel, who has critical knockdown. So if I boost this, what is the chances of me hitting a critical on 3 dice? It's actually, oddly enough, 44.44%. It jumped more than double the chances you had on 2 dice. A little less than a coin flip, but more often than you would think. Now, let's say for some reason you get this magical fourth dice, like let's say via Skyrafel, right? So Skyrafel has, what's this called here? Sanguine Fate, which actually lets you add a 4th dice and use it for critical attacks. So, what do you think the chances are on that? It's 72.22%. 72% of the time you're going to crit, which is crazy. All right, now speaking of criticals, double 1s is a critical fail. Double 6s is a critical success. Now, the chances of that happening is 2.78%. Very low. And now you might be asking me, okay, I threw all that information at you. What can I do with it? It actually just makes your game a little more cleaner, and it helps you guide your expectations. Because if you're trying to hit a Warcaster with mat 5s, it's gonna be rough unless you're boosting. And so it helps you play a little quicker, helps you play a little quick, it helps you play better on clock. It actually even helps you build your lists because you build your expectations on the averages and the numbers. And so, like, here's an example of how this can kind of like change your frame. So let's say I need to kill a low def but high armor 20 jack with 30 boxes that is sitting on a 50 millimeter objective. How many non-boosted power 14 attacks on average do you think I need to attain my goal? So this is, for example, the difference between a unit just walking up and hitting something versus walking up versus charging a unit and hitting them. So if we're assuming that all the attacks hit on a POW 14 with 2 dice, so let's say we built our expectations around that number 7, so 14 plus 7 is 21. You're doing 1 damage. So the answer would be 30 attacks. So it might be best to aim those at something else unless it would literally cost you the game and you're just Hail Marrying at that point. Now, if we change it to I need to kill a low defense but high armor 20 jack with 30 HP that is sitting on a 50 millimeter objective, how many boosted, so now we're getting an extra dice here, POW 14s on average do I need to obtain my goal, assuming that everything hits. So if we're taking that same power of 14 and adding 11 to it, we're dealing 25 damage, so we're netting, you know, armor's 20, we're doing 25 damage, so we're netting 5 damage. You would need 6 attacks to kill this Warjack. So you could see that changes things, don't it? So here's the dealio. I wanted to leave you with a positive message. So with all this in consideration, that these are just averages and Warmachine is a dice game. If things don't go as planned with either how you or your opponent roll, be ready to pivot, be ready to strategize, and always be nice to yourself and your opponent. But having these averages in mind really help you play a lot cleaner on clock, where a decision that might take you 20 seconds now takes you 5. And, you know, that's kind of the reason I'm making this video. I hope you got some knowledge here. Have a great day. Bye.